Mine is so spectacular. Open up your aperture. You don't like the light that I be shining. Did you Dracula? Southern draw vernacular. Flip you like a spatula. Knew that I was built to put this word up on my scapula. I've been on this road so long, my tires bald. I don't wanna text and no, I don't wanna call. Came in this shit running, but y'all know how to crawl. We ain't never folding them, holding the highest car. Look, okay, grew up running post routes. Now I'm on the cash route. Better call the plumber, that boy spitting like a bass spout. All these bad women in this club, fuck is you mad about? Word to all my estheticians, boy, I'm about to lash out. Straight from St. John's to the east side. Jigging since the knee high. Watch the way I put on for my state, nigga, yeehaw. Respected, know what we die. Crazy how I made it to the league from the bleach eyes. Boy, my shit hair wrong. Black, rich, and bare arms. Smoking on that yogi, this shit stronger than some bare arms. Goku, I'm in rare form. You cannot prepare for him. When I swing, it's like a carnival. This shit ain't fair for him. Brought intellect back to this rap shit. You niggas need chapstick. Shit been dry for way too long, and I'm the matchstick. You niggas Nickelodeon me. I'm more like Cap Nick. Cap a nigga, throw him in front of me. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said that I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. About to blow like we just lit the fuse. We double dutch into this dough, I get this shit in twos. Push the button, get it started, put that shit in cruise. A little dust up on his heart, I barely get to use. A fool flatters himself, a wise man flatters the fool. Man, I just came to get it started like mechanics with tools. Cause in my hood, if you don't pack a tool, you planning to lose. These young boys deserve Oscars, they be acting a fool. A couple loose screws, but they hammer accurate. Ooh, I know some niggas stuck on drugs and manufacture it too. School of hard knocks, we all got our bachelor's. Food, no cap and gowns, but we all had the master. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said that I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. I'm lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh rack, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Say she don't smoke, but she always smoke with me, yeah. Backwards in the air, back up in the ovaries, yeah. All my ops, they stay running like they over easy. Even my masseuses can't just get too close to me, yeah. Shout out to Next, soon as it ink dry, we count out the checks, yeah. I never flex, I bought up a business, you bought up a section. I'm at the top of my class, yeah. Y'all never learned from your lesson. Skywalker gave me the force, yeah. Turn this into an obsession, yeah. I couldn't wait on the team, cooking shit up with just me run play, yeah. Things never are what they seem, but we know the facts, yeah. Charging that shit to the game, but now I pull up with a battery pack, yeah. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, and we can just leave it at fact. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh rack, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Big bro, why they call you big bro? Every time we hit the bank, we deposit zip codes. Well connected with the streets, like we out in Skid Row.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos, hit that like button. I'll come in here. Hit that share and subscribe. Hit that Cash App, $SlickRick1990. $SlickRick1990 is our Cash App. If y'all want to donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, y'all own it at discretion. Make sure y'all hit that Cash App right there on the screen. I know it's a lot of people have been having, might be having some problems sending. I'm going to go ahead and leave that Cash App up for a minute, and basically so y'all can see where y'all can donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast for this content, man. I definitely want y'all to continuously sew in, man. Whatever y'all have, $1, $2, $5, $10, 20, whatever it may be, or if it's just a simple like or subscribe or share, man, I'm more than appreciative of it. But let's get into it, man. I got to talk to y'all more about the Clippers, and we're on Hell Week again. I'm not stopping. I'm still going all week, and of course, we got to talk about the subject of, a player that I feel like needs to get, I wouldn't even say a lot of blame, but also just he has to stand on what he says or what he said, and that person is going to be no more than Mr. Norman Powell. All right, Norman Powell is the shooting guard of the LA Clippers. Norman Powell is a person that is a person that's been in the league for about going on almost 10 seasons. If I'm not mistaken, I think he came in the league in 14, 15. I think it's been 10 seasons that Powell's been in the league. I'm saying, of course, he's from San Diego. Norman Powell is close to where I'm from. We have ties together, same people. We run with the same circles. I'm very fond of Norm. You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite players on the Clippers, of course, just based off of that. Support him a lot this season and last season. Him coming to the Clippers, I was very excited for him coming here back in 2022 when they acquired him from Portland. And I understand his story. I understand his, motto, understand the grind, UTG. I understand what he stands for. I understand where he comes from. So, it's definitely a, underground story for a guy like this. And you can't do nothing but be appreciative of what he has done. So, what does this pertain to? Well, Norman Powell, as I just mentioned, basically had to come and get it from the underground, right? He had to get it from the bottom. And coming into this season, Norman Powell was very eager about having the opportunity to up his career. And that's basically him getting the opportunity to be a starter for the Clippers. And with the departures of Paul George and Russell Westbrook, he got his opportunity, more so Paul George, right? Somebody had to fill in that spot. So, Norman Powell, this regular season, there was noise based off of what he was doing in the regular season at the first half of, him being, the addition by subtraction guy, which was what we're going to highlight about how I think Norman Powell got a rude awakening, what it means to really be a certain caliber of player. Now, this season, Norman Powell averaged 21 points per game, which was 24th in the NBA. People don't realize that he was 24th in the NBA in scoring. And this comes after the injuries. This comes after the whole All-Star snub, in my personal opinion. This comes after all that. Before he was, that all that happened, he was averaging 24 points per game off of around about 50% shooting from the field, right? Norman Powell was pretty much eyes locked in coming into the season. But things took a unexpected turn, like I just mentioned, after the All-Star break. Subjectively, it could have been because of strictly the injuries, or it could have been strictly because of, the All-Star situation where he did not get the opportunity to go in there. But his production dropped from then all the way up into the playoffs, where the playoff series against the Denver Nuggets, he averaged, let me go ahead and look. He averaged 16 points off of 47% shooting from the field, 35% from the three, 77% from the line, right? 2.4 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 1.1 steals. Everything went down for Norman Powell outside the blocks, and the minutes, right? Norman Powell got the opportunity to basically play at a higher level. With the opportunity, we got the opportunity, really up his value had he produced in the playoffs how he was supposed to. But obviously that was not the case. He actually went the opposite way and went the wrong direction while we're having this discussion right now. Now, recap. As y'all come in here, smash that like button. like I said, coming into this season, after Paul George departed from the Clippers, many Clipper fans still in their feelings because PG left, and that's just really what it is. It's called what it is, man. A lot of Clipper fans were in their feelings about what Paul George said on his podcast, saying that they were the B team, which really is what everybody already knows. I don't think that was him taking a snub at the team. Honestly, I just think that was him just calling it what it is. We've seen other players say it. We've seen Terrence Mann say it. We've seen, I'm saying, guys on the Clippers and called the Clippers the B team. Like everybody in LA. If you from LA, you already know what it is, right? You already know what the situation is. So when PG left, I think it was more about that than what he said. That's just me being honest. But no problem. Norman Powell took it upon himself to come out with this quote at Media Day. When asked about losing Paul George, he said, I saw addition by subtraction. More guys getting opportunities, including myself. And this was via Joey Lynn, Clippers beat writer. Now, this quote really lasted for a long duration for the regular season, right? Addition by subtraction. Hell, Norman Powell went and got his own shirt, said addition by subtraction. So that became more of like a Norman Powell versus Paul George thing, like who was better and this, that, and the other, yada, yada, from a lot of Clipper fans. Hell, even some outside fans who didn't really know the, ins and outs of the situation, that Norman Powell was basically better than Paul George. And, when they faced off and this, that, and the other, that was the discussion. I've never seen it like that, but that's what the discussion was. Norman Powell was asked about this, and Norman Powell said on Draymond Green's podcast that it was nothing that was really there. It was something that the fan base tried to pretty much put out there, which I definitely agree with. But I want to hear what y'all see what Norman Powell said on that, quote. He said Norman Powell stands by addition by subtraction comment because he's the addition, right? Because he's the addition. During Media Day in September, Norman Powell caused a stir when he called the 9-time All-Star Paul George leaving the LA Clippers in free agency addition by subtraction. The apparent dig went viral. He was asked about it on ESPN NBA's Today as well as Draymond Green podcast. The Draymond Green Show with Baron Davis. He said, but Powell wasn't dissing his former teammate whom he respects. Rather, he was telling the world not to overlook him. Right? Let's read the quote that he said. Media likes to twist things and try to say that I was taking jabs or shots at PG. Powell told Fox Sports, but it was more about talking about my opportunity. Everybody was like, look at how much we lost, and the team is not going to be good. I was like, nah, you got a player that y'all don't even know that can step up into his role and fill in those shoes in production and keeping his team competitive and winning. Right? This is Norman Powell's word. I'm going to say it again. He said, media likes to twist things and try to say I'm taking shots or jabs at PG, but it was more like just talking about my opportunity. Everybody was like, look at how much we had lost and the team is not going to be good. I was like, nah, you got a player that y'all don't even know, which is Powell, that can step into his role and fill in those shoes of production and keeping his team competitive and winning. Okay, now let's backtrack on that. I just read his numbers. I read Norman Powell's numbers. He averaged 21 points per game this season. I averaged 21 points per game this season. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Make sure I got this correct. I don't want to mislead y'all. Norman Powell averaged 21 points per game this season, 21.8, 48% from the field, right? That's what he averaged this year. Let's go to what Paul George averaged last year. Let's go to what Paul George averaged last year. I'm going and go to the roster of Philadelphia. And we're going to pull up Paul George's stats for last year, not this year when he's dealing with injury. I'm going to pull up last year's stats. Let's see. Here, we'll do this. We'll do this. We'll go ahead and do this. 1 second. So Paul George this year or last year averaged 22.6 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game in 74 games of play in the 2023-2024 season. He was selected to play in his 9th All-Star game. So when you compare and contrast Norman Powell's to Paul George's stats, Paul George had a better point production, better rebound, assist, and he was actually better from the field. Paul George shot 49%, or I'm sorry, no, he shot 47%. I'm tripping. 47.1, Norm shot 48.4, right? So pretty much all the categories, Paul George outbeats Norm. And again, after that All-Star break, after that injury, Norman Powell's production went down. I noticed. Very similar to Paul George's last year. I don't know if y'all remember, he was going through a groin injury for about a month. That dip he had after the All-Star break, he was going through that groin injury for about a month he was playing through. So all in all, basically, guys, you know, they had their productions both years. Now, of course, the teams were different. You know what I'm saying? But really, they're kind of, you know, outside of Kawhi playing like 30 plus more games, the teams were pretty much just changed stuff around. Now, let's get back to what I was saying about the addition by subtraction comment. When it was said the way it was said, the media pretty much took it as him taking a shot at Paul George, which he already said he was not doing. I'm gonna get into what I think really Norm was saying as the video goes on, but I'm gonna take a couple up more quotes, and y'all come to hit that like button. He said, "I was always in the backseat of being the role player, the supporting player to franchise players and guys they were building around." Powell told Fox Sports of his time in Toronto, Portland, and LA. I always wanted just to see if I could be a go-to player every single night, a 1-2 player that the team is relying on to get wins. That was my biggest focus, to see if I could be one of those guys. The opportunity finally came in year 10. Okay, he's in year 10, and I was able to take full advantage of it. Okay. Now, Norman Powell took a huge leap this season, increasing his scoring total from last year, I think, up by 10 points, 10, 12 points. You know, in the regular season, he was the leading scorer on the Clippers. So offensively, scoring the basketball, he held his own for sure. His shooting splits were, you know, great. His production in big games were great. But, you know what I'm saying, of course, what really kind of went south was in literally a couple weeks ago in the playoffs. You know, when you go through trying to get a contract extension, when you go through trying to get a deal done, you know, this was the postseason. This was the season for Norman Powell to really show his worth, right? You had people even campaigning for Norman Powell to be in the All-Star game. You had Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. And if I'm not mistaken, Kenny Jet Smith, but more so Charles Barkley and Shaq, advocating for Norman Powell to be in the All-Star game. And I agreed. I think Norman Powell should have been an All-Star this year. I thought he deserved it over James Harden because of his what he was doing in his job, which was scoring the ball and being efficient with it and being that in big games. I thought was more important, more impactful than James Harden's high usage rate, having the control of the offense and being the guy that basically controlled the basketball. And I didn't think James Harden did his job as good as Norman Powell did his job. I didn't think he did it as efficient. I didn't think he did it in bigger games. And I don't think he has much of an opportunity base. But, you know, it is what it is. Norman Powell got a rude awakening come the postseason and the playoffs. His whole initial idea was to basically prove that he can be that guy, number one, number two in the playoffs. And unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. The course going up against a team like the Denver Nuggets, you're pretty much asked to now match a guy like Jamal Murray. You're pretty much asked to match a guy who's a playoff riser, right? A guy that rises his game into the playoffs, a guy that increased his scoring total from regular season to the playoffs from 18 points to 24 points per game. You know what I'm saying? Like from the season to the regular playoffs, that jump that he does is very profound, right? So let me go ahead and put something real quick. Let's go ahead and put this up. Norman Powell stats for the postseason. Right here. 16 points per game, 2.4 rebounds, 2.4 assists in 7 games in the 2025 playoffs. Now, if you look at game by game, you got Norman Powell, 3 out of the 7 games giving you 20 plus points. But which is perfectly fine, especially when you got Kawhi Leonard and then James Harden as well. But it was how can I put it? It wasn't good enough as far as what he was asked, he was asking to do. He's asking to be the number 1, number 2 option, right? There was 3 out of 6 games that he was good, and there was 3 out of 6 games he was bad, and then there was 1 game he was just pretty much horrendous. That was Game 7. The Game 7 performance from Norman Powell was part of the reason why the Clippers lost. I'm gonna give a shout out to Deuce Times for this, because he said I went in on James Harden too hard, which I don't think I did. I mean, anytime you score 7 points, bro, and you play all the minutes and the offense runs through you, and you're not asked to play any real defense, there's no excuse for that. But then again, James Harden fans continues to give him a pass, bro. There's no way you can give a pass to that. When you say he's dishing out assists, no, he was avoiding any type of real responsibility like he did running off from the post-game conference. That's what James Harden does. He was literally passing the ball, trying to put the responsibility on somebody else. But when he plays up against a team that is not as competitive, or the pressure isn't as high, he wants to shoot the ball 1,000 times. He wants to try to drive to the basket. He wants to try to, entertain, because there's no pressure there. Now you got to go up against real pressure in a Game 7 situation where you're asked to, basically score and assist the ball and have to, do something out of your comfort zone. So no, he was literally passing the ball to a guy, so he was having the responsibility looking to score. That's what happened to James Harden. So I'm not laying back on him. James Harden is the main reason why the Clippers lost, but Norman Powell shares responsibility as well. Norman Powell had 9 points in the closeout game, right? Played 32 minutes, looked very uncomfortable from the start of the game, missing floaters, having to deal with bigger front size court, with Michael Porter Jr., with Aaron Gordon, and of course Nikola Jokic at the rim, which is not really a huge thing. But 16 points per game for a guy that you say that you want to be the first, second option on the team is simply your game deflating. And based off of what I saw in the postseason, Norman Powell, if he's not scoring the basketball, he's not doing much of anything else. This is the difference between him and Paul George. Paul George, if his shot ain't falling, which his shot, there would be nice, his shot won't fall, he can still give you 10, 11 rebounds. He can still give you 6, 7, 8 assists. He can still give you elite defense on the other side of the basketball with his length. Now, he's not the same he used to be, but he's still an elite defender. Last year, Paul George a lot of times was guarding a lot of the tougher matchups. He guarded Karl-Anthony Towns. I seen him guard Tyler Hero. I seen him guard DeMar DeRozan. I seen him guard, guys like De'Aaron Fox. I seen him guard guys from 1 through 3, 1 through 4, who are quote unquote the leading scorers or the second leading scorers of their team. So Norman Powell has none of those types of skills it makes him less valuable than a guy like Paul George. That's why I never bought into that whole notion that there was somebody them against one against the other, because Norman Powell just doesn't complete it. When they said that he fit that role, they meant scoring the basketball. But hell, how hard is that when that's the only thing that you can really do on the court? I mean, if you're shooting the ball majority times, which Norman Powell has a, tunnel vision where he's looking to just score the ball, and you're just looking to get shots up, you're pretty much all you're doing is what you were doing off the bench, just getting more opportunities to score. No Kawhi Leonard playing much of the season. Yeah, you're going to get more opportunities. A lot of your 3-point shots, your drives to the basket, your middies. Well, I won't even say middies. Your drives to the basket, your floaters, your 3-point attempts. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You're just getting more of a green light. But what are you doing when the game is getting out of reach and you're having to do other things on the court, right? Again, you said second option. You said addition by subtraction. That's what you said. Those were your words, and you said that you wanted to see the opportunity of what you will be able to do. So, while evaluating second options, I like to look at a guy like Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray averaged 22 points per game, 5.9 assists, 5.3 rebounds in 7 games against the Clippers. Right? Pretty much 23 points per game. So Jamal Murray raised his level of play in the playoffs. He didn't decrease, he raised it up. 5 out of 7 games scoring 20 points or more. Having a huge 43-point game performance where he had the highest output in the playoffs in that series from both teams. Those are games that you call upon a second option. If your first option don't have it that night, like say Kawhi Leonard didn't have it in that game 7 when he was out there by himself because James Harden disappeared, that was Norman Powell's chance to show that he was valuable of a second option. But just like James Harden, Norman Powell actually also as well didn't come to the party. But a guy like Jamal Murray, he raises his stock. That's what's the difference between him and Norman Powell. If you're going to say you want to be a second option on the team, you're addition by subtraction guy, then this is what you need to do. And again, I love Norman Powell, but we got to put things in perspective because a lot of fan bases had a lot of stuff to say when it was going on, when things were going well, when things were going well for the Clippers early in the season, when teams didn't really have, the capability to really scout for them, you were pretty much going out there playing free flow. And now that the team has an opportunity to scout you, your production drops. See, when the playoffs come, that's why it's about the playoffs. That's where you earn your name, because now teams can key in and try to find ways to make you uncomfortable. It takes a special type of player to be able to overcome that. I mean, when you look at the regular season, it's more about just guys being out there playing and just being able out there to hoop. But a guy like Norman Powell, who ain't really had that attention, who's more of a guy who's coming off the bench, teams don't really scheme for that. So when you go through the season giving you 24 points per game and 49%, 50% from the field, it's less resistance because teams, like you said, they don't know who you are. But when Norman Powell drops a 40 piece, oh shit, he can score the ball. Oh, he can shoot. Oh, he can drive. Like, okay, now let's scout for him. Paul George gets that no matter where he plays at. You have to scout for Paul George. He's a mismatch on both ends. You know what I'm saying? So I was hearing a lot of jokes. Look at this. He said Powell when he heard PG was leaving. Right here in the comment. You got Magic Johnson right there. Norman Powell when Paul George left. This is all just this season. Bruh really said himself. So cooked PG. Powell won a championship with Kawhi. Like, This is all stuff that was coming from Twitter. This is all stuff coming from Clipper fans. This is all stuff coming from players who really, okay, no problem. Okay, we gotta show it now. You gotta show it in the postseason. So now that you didn't show it, now that you didn't go through, you didn't get a chance to really get you didn't really get the results you wanted. Where do we go from now? Well, I've heard people say that they want off of Norman Powell, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Because Norman Powell was just a few months ago talked about as being possibly the second guy. Now it's that he's not that guy anymore. So where do we go from now? Well, we got to look at a couple factors when what's going on with Norman Powell's contract. So next season, Norman Powell is going to be out. He's going to be a player. He's going to have a player option. So based off of what y'all saw this season in the playoffs, are you comfortable giving Norman Powell an extension? Where does Norman Powell go from here? Is he a guy that you look at as a person that deserves an extra extension? Is it a guy that deserves an increase in pay? Like you gotta ask yourself these questions, because the Clippers are lacking a second star. James Harden is not a second star, right? I don't know why people keep trying to push that on people's throats. He's not a second star. We saw that in the playoffs. They need a guy that's going to come with Kawhi Leonard. I don't think Ivica Zubac's a second star, right? I think Ivica Zubac is a good piece at center position. But as far as the second star, y'all saw there's only a few in the league. Top 15 to 20 players are second stars. It takes a lot to be a second star. It takes a lot to be a second option. You have to rise your game in the postseason. So Norman Powell's contract ends next season. Next year's his last season. He's on a player option for $20 million. Well, actually, no, he's not a player option. I'm tripping. He has one more deal next year for $20 million. This is his last year of his contract after that 5-year extension with the Portland Trailblazers, I think, for $90 million. So the Clippers have a decision to make next season or even this off season, because again, Ivica Zubac, Terrence Mann, they extended those guys right before their last season of their previous contracts. So now Norman Powell's in that same position. He has one more deal for $20 million. Now watch this. Norman Powell is 31 years old. He's looking for an extension somewhere. He got one more big contract left, and I'm talking about like a 4 or 5 year deal. And then he'll be 36, and then he'll probably be, he won't have have opportunity for a max. That's why this season was so important for him, because had he got that All-Star nod, that would have opened up the opportunity for him to possibly be eligible for a big contract. But since he didn't get it, now you got to look at it like, okay, well, what is he going to do now? The Clippers, are they willing to pay Norman Powell a big contract? How much are you willing to pay Norman Powell? Are you going to give him $30 million, $35 million? Or is he going to be your second option in the future? Now, let's be fair. Possibility Norman Powell can come back next year and rewrite his wrongs in the postseason. I don't even want to even think about the postseason right now, because I'm still frustrated about what happened against Denver. But I'm just saying, could he come back next year and give you a better performance in the playoffs? Sure. But what would he need to do to be able to be that type of player? He's going to have to learn how to play both ends of the ball at elite level. Or he's going to have to be so elite offensively that the defense doesn't really matter in the postseason, not just the regular season, in the postseason. There's going to be some kinks that Norman Powell's going to have to reach to iron out. He's going to have to start being more committed to the defensive end of the basketball. And this is what makes being a two-way player so hard, because people forget, when he was in Toronto, Norman Powell was a good defender. He was actually known more for his defense. So what happened is that when his offensive responsibility went up, you saw his defense decline. But go back in Toronto when he was coming more off the bench and playing on that Toronto run. He was a bench player. He was more of a defensive guy. But when you're asked to score 20 plus points and you're asked to do that at a high rate every single night, you're going to take nights off defensively. That's why two-way players to me are the best players, because they have more on their plate. When they say he replaced Paul George's production, he replaced Paul George's scoring production in the regular season. He didn't replace the rebounding. He didn't replace the playmaking. He damn sure didn't replace the defense. And that's where the difference is, why his name should not be brought with Paul George's name. One guy's a 9-time All-Star, and one guy hasn't made an All-Star team yet. One guy's a 4-time All-NBA team player. The other guy has not been All-NBA team. One guy's he's a 6-time. I'm sorry. One guy's a 4-time All-NBA player. The other guy has not been All-NBA at all. I honestly didn't understand that conversation of the two. Norman Powell shut it down. And I think when Paul George was asked that question, he said basically, I mean, he didn't take any real offense to it. I think he just basically said, he's right. Like, they have more opportunities over there. It was the outsiders trying to make a story out of it. But we found out. We found out the truth. Certain things don't have to really be said. You just gotta let them work yourself out. Like what we saw against the Denver Nuggets. And Norman Powell was going at Jamal Murray. That would have been the series for Norman Powell to go off against, because him and Jamal Murray were going at each other. Ever since that situation happened in Game 2, where Jamal Murray tried to pick Norman Powell up, that was Norman Powell's calling. Okay, I need you. I'm about to turn up. He had a couple games where he had very good scoring outputs, but the big games, or the big game, Game 7, where he had 9 points. The other games where he didn't show up in games, I think 2 and 3, or games 2 and 3 where he was struggling from the field, or 2 and 3 or 2 and 4? 2 and 3, right? Yeah. Basically, the consistency just wasn't there. The scoring output wasn't there. The big games weren't there. And Kawhi Leonard need all the help he can get. Viska Zubac having his hands full with Nikola Jokic. They don't really have much scoring output on the team. Bogdan Bogdanovic not playing at a high level like people expected him to. Right? That's another person too. He needs to be reevaluated as well. Because I mean, damn, like the playmaking and also the scoring just didn't match. And his production he's another one. His regular season production, which was average, did not match his playoff production. The Clippers got too many guys on this roster who are good in the regular season, but when the postseason comes against high caliber competition, championship caliber teams, their game kind of deflates. Chris Dunn's another one. I've already spoke about this a couple days ago. Chris Dunn, we've seen where his value lies. He's another one. People was talking about him being better than Russell Westbrook, a better defender. I didn't see any of that. I stood alone on that one, that he was a better fit for the Clippers, right? There's no such thing as that. It's basically, can you do what I can do? Do you have the ability I can have? And he just doesn't have that ability offensively or defensively. Russell Westbrook made the bigger plays down the stretch of the games. He was choosing to play defense on, top level players, including James Harden. So Chris Dunn didn't have impact outside of Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray still, which we saw, was able to drop 43 points and average 22 that series. There was no real super resistance there. His field goal percentage was still high. We just got to call a spade and start putting guys where they need to be put. But basically, Norman Powell, the biggest question is what's going to happen in the offseason? What's going to happen going into this upcoming season? Do you tell him that he's coming back as a starter? Or do you say to yourself, okay, we may need to get another person in that starting position? Because there was talks that Norman Powell was playing so bad in the postseason and towards the end of the season that they was looking at trying to possibly bench him. I'm talking about fans, because if his scoring output wasn't there, which I think they don't really have that. They don't have that option. But that's why Norman Powell has to develop his two-way play again. He has to commit to the defensive end if he wants to be not able to be, put out the starting lineup, because your defensive liability showed as much as your offensive lapses in the playoffs. Your ability not to guard your position, your ability not to hold your own at your position, to get exploited on back doors and back cuts and stuff like that is stuff that kills the Clippers' momentum. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I'm just going to say this. I think if we look at the future, I like Norman Powell for the team. Would I play him as a starter? I wouldn't. I don't think he can be a starter on a championship team. I'm just being honest. I think he's excels as a sixth man. I think he excels as a guy that's going to get the majority of the shots up. But as far as his productivity as a starting shooting guard in this league, I don't see that type of caliber player. So that concludes this video. This wasn't a live, it's an actual pre-recorded. I hope that y'all enjoyed the interview with me and Law yesterday. If y'all have not saw that interview, go check that out. LA Clippers beat writer Law Murray came on yesterday, talked about the off season, what's to come, and of course towards the regular season. A lot of stuff's going to be going down this summer, man. NBA Summer League, all that stuff. So until next time, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull up, peace, out of here like swimwear.